Hi everybody, Free Spirit here. Tonight I'm going to show you how to make chili rellenos. A really delicious recipe. It's a very old recipe that I got from my friend's abuelita, which means grandma in Spanish. She was an awesome cook and she shared her secrets with me. This is a very old piece of paper. Has a few food stains on it. And I have made a few adjustments in it, of course, over the years, but I like to work right off of this paper that she wrote on herself. It's pretty cool. So tonight I'm wearing a sweatshirt because it's kind of chilly here in the house, but I turned the heater off so it won't come on, make a lot of noise when we're doing the recording here. So I have all my ingredients here, and I thought I would just tilt the camera in a little bit. Here we have the delicious and lovely pasilla chilies. You can use Ortega chilies as well. You know, you can get them in the can and just rinse them out and stuff them and make it easy on yourself. But I do like using the fresh, amazing, delicious green chilies. Pasilla is very nice, fairly mild. Sometimes you can get some that are a little hotter, but for the most part they have a nice bite to it, but not very hot. So I have a few of those, and they're going to be stuffed with two kinds of Mexican cheese. Cacique is the brand, Cacique, and this one is called Cotija, and it's a very firm cheese that you can crumble. It doesn't melt too easily, so it stays a little bit firm when you cook it. And I also use ranchero cheese, which is queso fresco. It's a semi-soft, kind of like a mozzarella. It's very mild, but it's great for stuffing because that one melts very nicely. And the other main ingredient is going to be the eggs that we're going to make a batter to cook the chilies when they're stuffed. So these are brown eggs, they're free roaming, organic, and they're very fresh, so this is the next best thing to getting them from my friend's hens. The nice brown eggs right there. And that's pretty much it for that recipe. I'm also going to have as a side dish, I'm going to make some refried black beans. Is it organic refried black beans? I was planning to make them from scratch, but it's, you know, it's just time consuming. I should have already had them made for the video, so I'll just be using this tonight. They're good. It is made vegetarian, even though the rest of this recipe is not. And I'll also make some basmati rice. This is my favorite organic basmati rice. And I'll make some of that to go with the completed chili rellenos. But a very important part of a good chili relleno dish is the topping. And I like to make my own salsa. So I'm going to do a fire roasted salsa. And I do have a recipe for a relleno sauce, which has green pepper and a lot of tomato. It's more like a tomato sauce. And actually I prefer the salsa flavor a little bit better. So I'm going to make some salsa with tomatillos, nice green tomatillos, with that papery, sticky wrapper, and some jalapeno chilies. And we're going to roast some garlic and fresh tomato, of course, and some onion. And then once everything is somewhat charred and softened, it'll go into the blender with some cilantro, some olive oil, and we'll finish with a little salt and pepper and a squeeze or two of lime. Then the salsa we can put to the side, and we'll have the salsa, the rice, and the beans ready. And then we can roast the chilies. So I'm going to set these up to roast on my flat iron over here. And then I'll come back and I'll cut up all of the vegetables and the ingredients for the salsa. Alright, so this is my flat iron, and it's quite hot. It's already been seasoned for many uses. It's got a little layer of oil on it. So I'm just going to put the chilies right on there. Like that. And when I make complicated dishes like this, I usually make a lot. Because if I'm going to the effort, I want to make it pay off for a day or two. Now I'm going to turn it down just a little bit. Now these are going to really get hot on one side until they start to bubble and pop. And then we'll turn. And this will go for, I don't know, maybe half an hour, 45 minutes. And we'll get a nice char all the way around, and it'll begin to soften. Then we take them off the heat, and we put the chilies into paper bags. Because the paper with the hot chili inside will create a nice steam. It'll soften the skin so you'll be able to peel the skin right off, the charred part. See, they'll begin to blister with the heat. But they have a long way to go. So we'll let that sit. Meanwhile, back to the salsa. So now we've just made a little more space. Get the salsa ingredients ready to go on the grill. So I'm just going to, I guess quarter the tomatoes. They're a little bit big. We could have gone a little bit smaller in the wedges, but that's okay. Alright. Tomatoes are ready. I'm going to use 2 jalapenos. I like it a little spicy, but not too hot. Cut off the top. Run the knife around the top where the seed pod attaches, and then slide it out. For this, I'm going to leave a little bit of the seeds in because I do want a little bit of heat. Careful for any of the seeds that go on the floor. I could just see the cats trying to smell it. It's pretty clean. I'm just going to cut them in half. And now the tomatillos. You see, they look like little green tomatoes. A little bit sticky. We're going to wash it off. Under the wrapper is a little dirty. Okay. All right. And these in quarters as well. They're not as big, but they are more firm, so it'll take a little more heat to break it down, basically, the inside. It's a little firmer than a tomato, but it adds a nice tart, like a green tomato, sort of a tartness. Alright. Tomatoes, jalapenos, tomatillos. Then we'll do onion and some garlic. It's always good to have a lot of cutting surfaces, so as one gets filled, you can just slide things over to the other. So I'm just going to scoop up all of my vegetables. Slide this one out. Let's go into the trash. Just going to give the chilies a quick turn. nicely charred on one side. And now we'll finish the salsa ingredients. Do about 1/4 of an onion. It's probably more of a 1/3. Somebody's having a party down the road. And they have a lot of music playing. Every holiday they have outdoor parties. Even if it's freezing cold, because they put a big bonfire. And I don't know how long they're going to get away with it, because it's really not allowed. But they think they're camping or something. I just make wide slices to lay on the grill, because those are going to brown really quickly. And last, I'm just going to get a few cloves of garlic. Squeeze it out of its paper. I'm not even going to cut it. It's already a little bit smashed, so I'm just going to put it right on the flat iron, just like that. Just going to break these up. Get all the extra paper off of there. And then we'll give it a good little pound here. Squeeze. And put the clove to the side. It's a little bit smushed. That one. Pull off the paper. And this one. Pull off the paper. And put it to the side. Alright. So as soon as the chilies are ready, take them off, put them inside the paper bag so they can start to steam and get soft. And then we're going to take all of these ingredients and spread them out on the very hot flat iron. Now the chilies have gotten a nice char. You can see that they've kind of blistered and gotten nice and soft, and so that skin is going to be able to get peeled off really well. So we're going to put these into the paper sacks. So here I have the 2 paper bags. I put 3 chilies in each one. Smells great. So they're very soft, and they're going to peel really nice and easily once they steam up inside the bag. I'm going to close it like that. We just leave the bag sitting side by side, and that way the full steam will go through all of the chilies. So now we're going to take all of these vegetables and put them on the flat iron. So I'm going to pour a little bit of olive oil just before I put the vegetables on. from sticking. Just spread the oil around on the pan a little bit. We're going to take the entire cutting board with all the vegetables. And now the oil is steaming and popping. So I'll pull the vegetables. I'm going to gently pour the vegetables right onto the hot metal. So this part should take about 20 to 30 minutes. And I'm going to keep an eye on the vegetables, and as I see the steam slowing down, I will go and give each of the pieces a turn onto a new side. And the smaller pieces in the front, the garlic and onion, will need to be turned pretty quickly. But the rest, I'm going to just take my time and let it get nice and charred on all sides. So now you can see that all of the vegetables have started to get a nice brown, charry, caramelized edge to it. And it's really bringing out the flavor and the aroma of all the vegetables. So it's going to be a great salsa. Everything's nice and soft now, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it off and get ready to put all the ingredients into the blender. of the ingredients inside the blender. It's quite hot. What a beautiful aroma. So we're going to let it cool off just a tiny bit. And I'm going to blend that all up and add a little bit of olive oil. And a little bit of cilantro and some lime. So now we can come back and check on the chilies. We're going to let our salsa just cool off a tiny bit. And while we're doing that, see how our chilies are doing. How the peel is just pulling away from the chili already. It's perfect. Perfect. So now I'm going to peel them just like this. I don't know if you can hear that party going on down the street. So you see now it's very soft. Any of the skin that's just thick will come right off. Yeah. The dogs are all upset because this party's going on. And every once in a while there's an outburst of yelling and hollering. And the dogs bark. And then I have to stop. But that's the thing with a cooking video. You can't really change your mind and do it another time. You have to finish the dish. And now I'm really looking forward to it. So this will be my 3 o'clock in the morning treat for Christmas morning. Okay. Just any part that's loose that will come off easily. Take that off. That's it. I did take a little bit of a shortcut in the charring and steaming in the bag. So it's not peeling as easily as it would have if I had left it a little longer on the stove and a little bit longer in the bag. They're having a heck of a time down the street. It's pretty cold outside. It's almost down to freezing. But they're outside. I'm pretty lucky here. It's usually pretty quiet. So I can't really complain. Okay, last one. See, this one has sat longer. See how almost all of it is peeling off in one piece. So now we have these very soft, peeled pastilla chilies. And at this point, you can decide whether or not to leave the seeds in there and just make a little slice and stuff the cheese in. Or if you want to, you can pull around the stem right here and take the seed part out. So it all depends, because sometimes the seeds can be hot. Not very hot. I like it both ways. In this recipe, I don't have to dip the chili into the batter that I'm making. The batter actually gets put into the pan, and the chili is laid on top of it, and then the second layer is put on top. So I don't need to have the stems as a handle to dredge through the batter. Most recipes tell you to leave the stem on, so you can do that. So these seeds are a little bit hot, I can feel. So it's better that I take them out. Okay. There. So here's our 6 chilies already. All right. So I'm just going to put the chilies here. 4, 5, and 6. I'm going to clean the cutting board off quickly. And now we'll get the cheese ready. I have so many kitchen tools, and I end up just using one tongue and one knife to do everything. It's crazy. Okay, so first I'm going to cut up the ranchero, queso fresco, and now we'll cut up the cotija. Well, we're actually hearing some Mexican ranch music from up the street. So this is very authentic Mexican food here. I just realized that it sounded like Polish oompa music that my parents used to listen to. But it's got the same rhythm and beat as some of the ranch music. Ranchero. Okay. Now we're going to stuff the chilies with the cheese. It's very easy. Just pull a little piece open. Take some of the seeds out. There's a lot of seeds. Okay. And I'm going to kind of smush and crumble one wedge of the cheese and one wedge of the harder cotija cheese. So it's ranchero and then cotija on top. I'm going to just tuck it in a little bit, I'm not going to worry about it because it's going to be sealed with that egg batter. So just kind of pinch it together a little bit and roll it on its side just to stay. Go to the next one. Open it. See, there's not very many seeds. 1 wedge of ranchero. Just squish it a little between your fingers and spread it long way. And 1 wedge of the harder cotija cheese. Crumble that a little bit. If there's too much, you can leave it out. It's okay. Just make sure it's broken up a little bit. Squeeze it together. And it doesn't matter if there's little pieces of cheese all over the plate because we'll throw it all into the pan when we cook it. And kind of turn it to its side a little bit. Next one. These are great as leftovers as well. You can just put them in a fry pan in the morning and warm them a little on both sides. And then fry up a couple eggs or something if you like. Or reheat your refried beans. Ranchero. And you could make a nice stuffing with some couscous or some type of a grain, maybe some millet or some brown rice or something like that. All right, so there's the 6 chilies. I'm gonna squish that one over. There's the 6 messy little overstuffed babies. And I'm going to put them to the side while we get the egg batter ready. Okay, so now I'm going to do the salsa. And here's our yummy goodness. Ready to go. I'm just going to do a rough chop for, on and off for about 20 or 30 seconds. Okay, so that seems like a very good consistency. It's loose, but it's not really watery. I have washed and cleaned this very thoroughly. It's beautiful cilantro. I'm going to add that to the blender. I love a lot of cilantro in my salsa. And that'll thicken it a bit as well. And then we'll be adding a little bit of lime juice to sharpen my knife. And I'm going to add a nice big pinch of salt. Oh, they're going crazy. Again, I'm just going to do a few pulses. Still pretty hot. Steaming. So now I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil. open the center of the blender and I'm just going to pour it in as it's running. So it's only about, probably about 2 tablespoons. And now I can pour this into a bowl. And that's some really good salsa right there. Yummy. Let me see if it's too hot. Yeah, that's pretty spicy. I like it. So we're going to add a little bit of lime. Squirt across the kitchen. Okay. Very good. Got a nice little smoky flavor to it. Pretty spicy though. And the cheesy and the very mellow flavor of the stuffed chilies is gonna really be brought up, elevated by the spicy freshness of the salsa. So now comes the most important part of the recipe. And that is the yummy egg batter that seals in the chili and allows the heat to build up inside in order to melt the cheeses. So we're going to use 6 eggs. A singing bowl. We're going to put the egg whites in here because we're going to whip them almost like a whipped cream. So the yolks will go into the small bowl, the whites into the large. I'm going to use 6 eggs. And the trick is to get as much of the white into the bowl, leaving only the yolk. Because, oops, that pair. Because the whites are going to whip up very, very fluffy and light. And then we'll stir the yolks back in at the last moment. That makes for a very airy and light coating. This is 3. This is 4. And 6. And 6. All right. So now we're going to take the egg whites. I'm going to add just a pinch of salt, like that. And now I'm going to whip the heck out of them with a hand mixer. Okay, I'll be right back. So that probably took about 5 or 6 minutes. And you can see that the egg white is now forming peaks. So now you can see it's fairly stiff. Put that to the side. And we're just going to use a whisk to mix up the egg yolk till it's fluffy. And the dark yellow color gets a little bit lighter as more air gets whipped in. That's about it. And then, right before we're ready to put the chilies in the pan, we'll mix these together and fold them gently together. So here we have our chilies, our egg yolk, our egg white, and our salsa. It's almost ready. So now we're going to blend the egg yolks into the egg whites. And just mix them very gently so as not to take all the fluff out of the whites. So here we go. That's really it. Just want it to stay nice and puffy. And now we're going to move to the stove. And now we're going to heat up the pan with a little bit of olive oil, enough to coat the bottom, because I don't really do a fry on these, even though that's how the recipe was intended. But I found that it works just great with just a little bit of oil. So what I have here is a pot of the basmati rice that I finished cooking. It's still quite hot. It's just a nice white fluffy rice, very fragrant. And here I have some refried beans in a little pot. These are black beans that have been already cooked, and for the second time it's cooked they actually get mashed, and sometimes they put like a cream or cheese or whatever, but I think these are just mashed with a little bit of oil. And the black beans, it goes very well with the chilies. And now we're going to start our rellenos. Put the heat up fairly high to get the oil hot and spread through the pan. And keep the batter right there. And see how the oil is starting to have a glisten to it. You can sort of see ripples, heat ripples in it. See that? That means it's hot enough. Okay, watch this. One, two, three, one, two, and three. Down into a little nest. Now that it's cooked a tiny bit on the bottom, I'm going to just scoop it up to the side on all of them, just a little bit, like that. And now I'm going to cover them, each with another spoonful of the egg batter to seal them in. Don't worry if it's not perfect, it doesn't matter. Because as it cooks on the side, you put it up to the top. And it will enclose it. A little more on this one. See? Just lift it over the top and seal it in. Now I'm going to turn the heat down to pretty low. That way it can cook slowly and get the cheese nice and melty inside. When it's cooked enough to pull away a little bit from the bottom of the pan, then you can turn them over. See how it's loosening up? So I'm just going to scoop under it as far as I can get under, and then flip it with any luck. You have to commit. This is not my most artistic endeavor, but that's okay. It's going to be delicious. I actually took too long of a break while I made the rice, and I let the batter sit a little too long. You should really ideally whip the egg whites, and almost immediately afterwards you should start cooking. Just in case you think that I can do everything well. It doesn't always look right, but it will taste very good, I assure you. So now you can feel that the cheese is starting to get soft inside. starting to steam a little bit and get squishier. So I'm going to turn it one more time before I take it out. So I think what I'm going to do is to use the rest of the batter on the pan to cover these instead of making a second batch. I really want to make sure that these are very well covered and they look nice. There's always a solution, even when you think you messed up. This is going to be very good. And you see, it's nice and light. It's not stuck to the pan at all. It's very fluffy. I think it's time to plate. That's a nice plate. You want to try some? Let's get the cheesy cheese in there. Look at that. Better blow on it, it's very hot. Okay, try it. And some black beans with a little cotija cheese. Fantastic. cheesy, eggy goodness with that beautiful chili. Just the right amount of spicy. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I hope you enjoyed another example of my cooking of old recipes. I wish you could stop by and help me eat some of this. But as I say, it does make very good leftovers. It can be reheated. It'll continue to get nice and soft. So it's great for breakfast leftovers or even lunch. Thank you so much for coming to my kitchen. I think it's time to go and eat my chili rellenos. So I'll say good night. Good night. See you very soon.